Hey, 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 Mom Nation, and welcome back to the very last episode of 2025 of our love story. Welcome, my favorite co host, Dyanna.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can you believe it's the very last one of the year?
No, are you surviving the holiday season?
I am hanging in there. Hanging in there.
We were just talking before the show, guys, that, and I hope this is okay for me to share, that one of Diana's kiddos has a full week of half day of school. And I was just like, how do parents deal with that? How do you do that? Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they're super excited about it.
Of course.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Except pick up at 11:30 every single day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
little inconvenient for parents that don't have the flexibility.
yeah, a little bit. So, big shout out to parents out there that are struggling with the same things that we are struggling with. We feel you guys, and we're here to help, of course. So, let's dive right into the subject for today. And of course, it has to do with the holidays because this is our holiday episode. And Dyanna, I'm just going to hit you with this one because this is not talked about enough. Let's talk about the fights that break couples during the holidays and why nobody talks about them.
Wow. There
Yeah.
are so many topics that break couples over the holidays that maybe don't seem as prevalent during the rest of the year, but they certainly rear their ugly heads during the holidays. And one of those things, and it's probably no secret to anyone, is budgeting, like
Mm.
finances for the holidays. Like, how much money do we spend on gifts? How much money do we spend on food? How much do we spend on holiday outings and gatherings and events and, this, that, and the other thing? Like, how much money do we spend? And when we don't know what each other's meaning of money is, which we've talked about before in a couple of different episodes, sometimes we get our wires crossed as to like why I want to spend this money or why I don't want to spend this money. And then it becomes a battle about the money and not a battle of like, well, if money means freedom to me, I want to have the ability to buy our kids, the things that they want. And if money to me is security, like they don't need to have like all of the things that they want. We need to have, a tighter budget or whatever that looks like. So
Mm-hmm.
budgeting is definitely one of the hot ticket items that can break couples during the holidays.
Totally agree. And I feel like that is something to add to that checklist, to that agenda that we talked about a couple of months ago when you're like, wanting to get married, thinking about getting married, maybe you're engaged. Now it's time to have the hard conversations of what marriage is going to look like going forward. I feel like this has to be in there.
Absolutely. Because it's not just budgeting like normal budgeting, but like,
Mm-hmm.
what are your expectations for the holidays? Are
Mm-hmm.
you someone that grew up in a family where just like you guys like went all out, went balls to the wall? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or were
Yeah,
you a
that
family
happens.
where you didn't celebrate a whole lot because like there wasn't a lot? You know what I mean? And sometimes those wires get crossed as well, and what our meanings of celebrations are.
Mm-hmm.
Because as adults, we are really good at protecting ourselves emotionally from experiences that we had as children that maybe weren't all that pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
I hear it all the time from couples where one partner will be like, Christmas not that big of a deal, but I'll go along with everything and like it's fine, but like Christmas isn't like that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they have children a lot of times. And so we start digging into like, what was your experience as a kid? And like, what was Christmas like? And when you
Mm-hmm.
start like peeling back the layers, it's like, oh, well, you deserve to have like a happy Christmas and to celebrate. Your kids deserve that too. So how can we sort of reframe what your experience was and help you like relive some of those experiences and heal some of that inner child at the same time as giving your kids a different experience that you didn't have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I am so glad that you brought that up because I was going to ask you about that. As adults, obviously, we bring our emotional baggage to the table, right?
Mhm.
And I have heard over and over and over, I've seen it, I've experienced it myself. The holidays can bring up emotions that we might necessarily not either feel or acknowledge any other time throughout the year. And how is that impacting us as wives, as mothers, as daughters, as sisters? Like it has to be playing a part in all of these interactions.
Absolutely. Not only do we have our own experiences that we might be, contending with, but then also like our partners. And like if our expectations of what a holiday should look like is so vastly different from theirs, well, now we're contending with that too. And is there some sort of like, emotional enmeshment happening where like I have to do things a certain way in order to keep you content or happy, even if it's not something that like I necessarily want to do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just our own trauma, our own experiences that we're dealing with, but also like our partners as well, especially when it's not super clear and we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out exactly like why they feel the way they do about things,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then bring in those family members, right? Those ones that raised you, those ones that molded those emotions, and now we're spending holidays with them with our kids. And that can be a bit of a sticky situation too, depending on who you are, yeah?
Oh, it's always a smooth sailing. It's a joy, right? No,
What do
definitely not.
you mean, Katie? That's great.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Yes. So, a word that we're all, pretty familiar with, and sometimes well executed and well defined, is boundaries. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And sometimes those boundaries are really, really difficult to establish when you and your partner don't agree on what those boundaries are. And if there's also, again, some of that emotional enmeshment, like if you grew up knowing that like it was your responsibility to do certain things during the holidays, like that can be really hard to transition or give up as you get older. But if it's no longer serving you, that's something that like you have to revisit as well and figure out like, do I still want to be doing this thing? And if I don't, what kind of boundaries do I want to set? Boundaries go across not only you as an individual, us as a couple, but then your kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the people that raised you, have their own ways of like how they want to parent. And that might transition to like how they grandparent as well, or aunts, uncles, whatever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it might not align with like your own parenting expectations or your own parenting practices. And then you have to establish boundaries there too, that like, no, if you're going to take them to go look at Christmas lights, I don't want them up until 10 o'clock eating, candy and popcorn and hot chocolate until they throw up. Like, I don't really want that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, like, let's talk about the expectations and like what some of my boundaries are, and the painful boundary of saying, like, hey, if you continue to cross it, then like this can't be a thing anymore. And I don't want to do that, but I also have to hold my own boundaries. You know what I mean?
Totally agree. And what about attending those holiday gatherings where, maybe all of your siblings are there and they have their kids too, and they parent a bit differently than you do? Maybe they're a little more strict, maybe they're a little more lenient. How do you suggest navigating that when you can't just tell your sister to parent her kid a different way, but you also want to, remain true to your parenting style? Is this a conversation with your spouse, your family, everybody? Like, what would you suggest? Of course, it probably depends on the situation, but just generally speaking.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think you and your spouse should be aligned on what the expectations are, especially if there's a history or like there's a pattern of behavior from other family members. Like, kind of already have your game plan set up, whether it's like an exit strategy or whether it's just like a code word or a look or something. You know what I mean? If you need the other person to like, come and support or be involved. But we can't at all really control how other people decide to like parent their kids.
Hmm.
But a very reasonable boundary is, you parent your kids and I'll parent my kids. And if there's some sort of crossover there, then I will step in. You know what I mean? A boundary again isn't about what you're going to do. It's about what I'm going to do. So if I see something that doesn't align with me or my spouse and our parenting strategies, practices, whatever, like I'm going to step in and say like, hey, that's cool, but like no, like we don't actually do that, or we don't agree
Hmm.
with that. Respect your position, but we don't do that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It doesn't have
Hmm.
to be this long drawn out boundary conversation, right? Unless you have a protester, and the protesters are the ones that are, oh, that's ridiculous, or oh, you're overreacting, or it's not that big of a deal, or
Right.
make some sort of reason or excuse like why it is okay. But we
Hmm.
don't have to subscribe to that. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
can make us feel guilty or shameful without our own permission. So if that's what you agree to, what you and your spouse agree to, like, stand on it. As uncomfortable as it is, people will learn that if we don't hold our boundaries after we set them, they'll realize they don't really exist in the first place. And then that just leads to bigger problems down the road. So you do your thing, we're going to do our thing. And kids also pick up on that too. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? As in parenting. And they also see when boundaries have been set in their favor, you know what I mean, to protect them too. So that's really important that they see that as well.
Agreed. I love what you just said. Boundaries are something I'm going to do, not what you're going to do. And I think that that is the most simplified version of a very complex thing that I have ever heard. So thank you so much for making that, chunking that down into a, like something that, you know, us normal people can understand. Those of us that haven't gone through all of the amount of schooling and education that you have, that is really huge. Like hits
Absolutely.
huge.
Yeah, I think, and I said it, a few minutes ago, like sometimes the boundary is well executed because we can define it, we know what it is. But sometimes it's out there in social media land where like, don't do that. That crosses my boundary. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's not about what they're gonna do. It's what I'm gonna do. So if
Right.
I feel like if I'm getting yelled at in this conversation, then like I'm going to leave. I can't
Mm-hmm.
tell you what to do, but I will tell you if you do that, this is what I'm going to do. Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, an expectation is what you're going to do. A boundary is what I'm going to do. You know,
That's so powerful. That
absolutely.
that it
That's
like
all.
brings your power back, right? Instead of giving it away.
That's exactly what it is. A boundary is not designed to push people away. It's to keep people close while keeping yourself safe. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of a boundary. I want to keep you close, but I also have to keep myself safe. So that's why I have
Yeah.
these boundaries.
Love it. Love that. What else are you seeing with people that are coming in, especially during this time or other conflicts that you're seeing more so during the holidays than normal?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, kind of along the same lines as like our own family dynamics from our family of origin, things that we've experienced as kids, whether it's, trauma or otherwise, traditions, even like some of the more positive things as well. We learn based on our gender roles and expectations, like what
Mm-hmm.
our jobs are during the
Mm-hmm.
holidays. And not everyone, I won't make a broad sweeping statement like that, but most of the time, moms are the default parents, and
Yeah.
that usually carries over to the holidays too. What does it mean to be a default parent? It means that you are carrying the mental load of all the things for everyone at home. And traditionally, over generations, that's pretty much been like the mom's role, not all the time, but most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, there's plenty of room to break those cycles and change those generational patterns for the better, right? But we don't know how to do it if we don't know it's even a thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely the default parent, I've done all the things, like your spouse or significant other might be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you
Right.
get to show up to Christmas morning and it's like, hey, this is cool, this is fun, everything's all like wrapped and pretty and good to go. But everything that happens behind the scenes, we talked about this a little bit before we started, like, kids like Christmas concerts and events at school, and like, theme weeks and spirit
Mm-hmm.
weeks and early pickups and all these things. And then let's get
It's
into
so
like
much more.
this. It's so much more. And then, oh, what
Uh-huh.
are we going to get our kids? We got to make sure if you have more than one kid, that has to be balanced, has to be equal, right? Okay, I got to make sure I stay in my budget. I have to make sure all these things are going to come on time and then wrap them. I also have my siblings. I have my parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, any acquaintances, friends, whatever, like all of those things are like in this mental Rolodex in our brains all the time, and then get it wrapped and all of these things that are happening while a lot of times our spouse is just kind of like living their best lives. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be that way, but it's what we've been shown. It's what's been modeled. You know what I mean? So if you find yourself in that position, you're like ready to pull your hair out, is what, like 13 days before Christmas or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let your partner know, like let your spouse know that, like, hey, like, not coming for you, but I'm not sure you have a really good like scope of everything that's going into doing all of this right now. Like, we haven't even talked about like planning the grocery list for all the meals that I'm going to be cooking, and making sure I'm accommodating any food allergies, and making sure that everyone's getting like something that they like, and what time we're going to be eating, and do I need to order it? And it's like all of these things, right? So like when you present that to your partner and just like, you know, I'm not trying to like dump this on you, but I really do need you to see exactly what goes into being the magic maker of this home. You know what I mean? And so given all of these things, these are the things that are already done. Out of these things that are left, what do you think you could see yourself supporting me with? You know what I mean? The difference between saying it like that and saying, hey, I still have this, this, and this to do, go do it, is more often than not, our partner will do it, right? It makes us the project manager again. You know what I mean? And that's not support in the way that we could really, really use it, especially during this time of year. I don't want to plan for you what you can do to help me. I don't want to tell you what to do. That's just another list that I have to follow up with and make sure you did it and make sure it was picked up. Just what do you think that you could reasonably take off my plate here that you would feel comfortable doing? And even just having that conversation can be really eye-opening for your partner, because they had no idea. They have no idea what goes into all of that, because they probably, like, their mom did it. You know what I mean? Mom and grandma, like, so they have no idea, no concept of all of those things. And then we get really resentful sometimes, you know what I mean? Because it is a lot. It's a huge mental load on top of the already mental load that we have of just regular everyday adulting, right? And parenting. So it can be really eye-opening and a really good opportunity to not create or cause conflict, but just be like, I'm happy to do these things, but it is also very overwhelming. And I would like for us to be doing this as partners and break some of that generational cycle here, so that our kids can see like, oh, well, mom and dad do it together. They decorate together. They go grocery shopping together, whatever the case may be, as best as you can with your schedules, right? But that's how we break generational patterns, is we decide this is a thing that we're going to do with zero frame of reference of how to do it, but we're going to figure it out. And then our kids see it, and that's how you start the cycle, right?
I love that. Exactly right, because they're always watching, they're always absorbing, they're always learning, they are patterning, based on what they see, right?
Yeah, this is what's normal. This is what people do.
Right. One thing that I think is extra heavy this season, and I feel like I just want to hear and see moms out there that are dealing with this, and I just want to encourage them to speak about it, because I think just even speaking and getting something off your chest is very helpful. But there's a lot of people that are struggling quite a lot financially, and this season just brings on that tenfold, right? Like, it's just so much more guilt, it's just so much more stress and that kind of thing. And I feel like we can tend to sort of lose ourselves in that snowball. And how would you suggest, even if it's just to get it off of your chest, just to share, hey, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm feeling, here's what's overwhelming me right now. Do you think that's helpful to talk about?
Totally. Just to get some validation that, like, this is not just in my head. Like, no, this is real, systemic. So you're not alone. It's really helpful to get that validation and receive some of that empathy from either like a partner, a friend, a therapist, like whoever you have in your corner to support you. Because it should be normalized. We should not be just suffering to ourselves in silence and just like ruminating on all of these things that a lot of them are out of our control. Like we should not be keeping that to ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, we have a support system, whoever your support system is, like, this is the time to lean on them. You know, like, we were not designed to do all this alone. We just weren't. And the way our culture and society are now, we are very much alone, but it wasn't always like that. You know, and it'll take some time, some generations probably, to turn the tide if it goes back in that direction. But definitely seek your supports. And most of all, you're doing amazing. Like, whoever is listening, you're doing incredible. It doesn't matter if you have, you know, one gift under the tree, no gift under the tree, 18 gifts under the tree. It doesn't matter. Your presence is felt all year round. And that's what your kids are going to remember. You know what I mean? Like we
Mm-hmm.
sometimes project onto our kids, like, oh, they must be disappointed. Oh, they must be sad. Oh, they must be this. And they're not even thinking about it. It's our own frame of reference that we're thinking about, our own life experiences that we're comparing it to. And so don't get hung up on what your kids must be thinking or doing or whatever. It's like, they see you doing your best and they see you showing up. And if they see you, you know, super stressed and running around with their hair on fire, they're going to think that like that's what's expected. And it's not. Some seasons of life are just really difficult, but you're doing your best and you're doing amazing and your kids are grateful and you're crushing it. Everyone's crushing it. We're doing the best we can out here.
Agreed. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And my last thing, something that I see a lot of, you know, just in the groups and, you know, having conversations with as many moms as I do regularly, is this time of year makes it even harder for us to get our own time. Whatever self-care means to you, if that's, you know, an hour in the bathtub with a book, or if that's a quick run to Starbucks, or if that's a 30-minute opportunity to just sit in silence, whatever that means to you, it's harder to get that time because there's so much more on our plates. Any suggestions or any conversations surrounding that you might have been having lately with your clients?
Yeah, schedule it. Schedule some time like for yourself to just do something for yourself. And no, self-care is not going to the grocery store by yourself. No, self-care is not gift wrapping by yourself. Like
Could
that
it
is
be going
not
to Target by yourself? Could it be?
no, that is not. Well, I don't know. If you go to like a dollar spot at Target by yourself and you just let Target tell you what you need, I can get on board with that. You know what I mean?
Me too. Me too.
Self-care. I get on board with that. But schedule it. Put something on your calendar that's going to allow you just some time on your own. You know what I mean? This is like peak burnout time of the year. And if we're going to stave that off, we have to be intentional and schedule some of that time in. You know what I mean? Whether it's time for yourself, time for with your significant other, like you come first. And it's not selfish to take time away. It's not selfish if, you know, there's dishes in the sink and you go to Starbucks for an hour. Like it's not selfish. You know what I mean? It's self-care. It's taking care of you. And again, we're teaching our kids exactly what that looks like too. If they learn that like mom takes breaks, like mom goes and does things on her own that she likes to do, they'll know that that's expected. And it's also okay for them to do, their future wives to do, their future partners to do. Like they're going to know that that's okay too. It's not selfish. It's not lazy. All of the things that you've been programmed to learn about yourself, doing those things growing up are not real. They're just constructs. They're fake. They're not real. It's not selfish. Take the time for yourself and do what fills your cup because you're filling everybody else's at the same time.
Totally agree. And I told you that was my last question, but it's really not, because what you just said brought something else up. And this isn't really holiday related, but I'm just genuinely curious. In your experience, we know that women have been sort of conditioned that way that you just described. In your experience, is it the same for men? Are they also programmed like that? No? It's not selfish
lazy,
for them
yes.
to... Okay.
Selfish, no, but lazy can certainly be a thing as well, where like if you're not being productive, then you're not a good provider. That means you're lazy. That means there's something wrong with you. You know what I mean? But it's a different type of shame, different type of guilt that men experience versus women. It's just a difference.
And I think that's a great topic for another show in 2026. What do you think?
Definitely.
I would love to dive into it because I'm really curious. Raising a son, I'm really just curious of all that stuff. So we'll tack that onto the agenda for 2026, guys. This is it. This is the last of 2025. Thank you so much, Dyanna, for being with us as long as you have.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You are so welcome. And it's our pleasure. You have delivered so much value, so much expertise. I've received so many messages about our episodes that we have helped women in so many different ways, helped mamas in so many different ways. So for that, I thank you on behalf of our audience, behalf of our followers. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you for accepting 2026.
We're getting there, aren't we? Whether we're ready or not.
Whether we're ready or not, it's coming. For sure. All right, guys. I've got
Yeah.
a surprise for you, actually. So you see at the top of our screen, you see a QR code. That is a direct link to our YouTube playlist. I always say at the end of the show, if you want to check out any of our past episodes, and we encourage you to do so, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Mom Nation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little ways. You'll see the Our Love Story playlist, right? You've heard me repeat that 100,000 billion times. However, I've made it easy for you, and all you need to do is scan that QR code right above our heads, and that will bring you there. Do us a favor. If you find value, and I know you do because I get your messages and your comments, if you find value in what we are doing here, please subscribe to our channel. That is one big way that you can just send us a very warm hug and let us know that, yeah, we're on the right track and we should continue supporting women and mamas and families like we have been. So please do that. I appreciate that. I know Dyanna does too. And if you prefer to listen podcast style on your favorite podcast platform, please do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you will find us. Again, this is the Our Love Story podcast. So there's a few podcasts that go through that channel, but this is the one that you're looking for if you want to talk relationships and love and all of that and all of those dynamics. Real quick, Dyanna, before we go, you're still able to be contacted and consulted with, yes?
Yes, you can go to my website, DyannaIselTherapy.com, click on the schedule a free consultation, and it'll take you to a calendar where you can pick a day and time that works for you for a free 15-minute phone consultation.
Awesome. All right, guys, wishing you all the happiest of holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate, and we will see you next year.
See you next year.
Bye.
Bye.
Struggling to reconnect with yourself or the ones you love? Meet Dyanna Isel, a licensed marriage and family therapist, here to support your journey toward connection and clarity. She helps you feel seen, heard, and supported as you grow through life's challenges, emotionally, sexually, and relationally. A safe, judgment-free space where growth can begin. Come as you are and grow into who you're becoming. Reach out today and take your first step toward healing with Dyanna.